This is our first semifinal battle. Oh, what a battle it is. The Tank against Dan Severn. And this is one that the people were talking about on their way in tonight, if it would unfold. The Beast and the Tank, two guys with a very ferocious approach to fighting. We are getting set for the formal introduction of the fighters. Severn against Tank Abbott. Let's go up to the G-Man, Rich Goins.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first semifinal match of the evening in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, Ultimate. Please welcome back, 6 foot, 280 pounds, an expert in pit fighting. He's 2-1 in the octagon, 7-0 in bare knuckle pit fights. The UFC 6 finalist, Tank Abbott. And his opponent, a specialist in Greco-Roman wrestling, a finalist in UFC 4, super fight combatant in UFC 6, and UFC 5 champion, 5-2 in the octagon, 6'2", 260, from Coldwater, Michigan, Daniel the Beast Severn.
So it is pit fighting, whatever that is, against wrestling.
Well, you know, I'm from California myself. Now, you know, Orange County, Huntington Beach, that's a pretty nice little area. I never heard of pit fighting down there, so I'm not sure how much validity there is to that.
Severn had 7 years on the Tank Man. Height, not much of a difference there. Weight, Severn's listed at 250. He's really down to about 238. Tank came down in his last bout from 265 to 250. Semifinals of the Ultimate. $150,000 to the winner, $25,000 to the runner-up. The winner of this bout is guaranteed $25 grand.
Are you ready?
Tell you what, this is going to come down to the grappling skills of both those. If Severn can dominate, he won't have to deal with those punches of Dave Abbott. But Abbott has been doing a lot of grappling. There you can see it. He was prepared for a shot from Severn, sprawl position.
Tank trying to get that left hand free.
Oh, knee to the head.
Severn works him back up against the octagon fence.
This might be the most powerful, talented individual that the Tank has gone up against.
Absolutely. I don't think he's faced someone with this much technique and experience, because those titles of Severn, they're legit.
Whoa, down goes Abbott. Severn elected not to pound away with him with an elbow. He was looking for some kind of submission move instead. Now he needs him. Now the right hand begins to land. And the elbow to the back of Tank's head.
You know, Dan would be ill-advised not to do that punching. He's going to break a knuckle, break his hand. He's going to limit him.
Elbow to the head of Abbott again.
The elbow's a much better bet. He should be using the knees again. Just pick one spot.
He's hitting that glove, though. He's hitting that glove, it seems. Tank absorbing punishment, stuck on the ground. The wrestler keeping the brawler down right now.
Tank showing a tremendous chin.
Well, Dan looks like he's going under that chin with a hold here, a chokehold, but he's under the arm.
Knees to the head by Severn.
Let's see if he goes to the choke now.
I'm impressed with Severn striking with the knees and the elbows. He's really come a long way for a traditional wrestler.
Severn pushes Tank up against the chain link fence.
Can Severn punch himself out, going after him so hard right now? That'll be a big question. You see it in boxing. Here you have no rounds to catch your breath. Once you get tired, it's all over. But it just doesn't seem that Tank can get off his side.
Well, I feel like an experienced grappler can pace himself and go as long as he needs to. A man like Dan Severn's not going to wear himself out.
Tank Abbott continues to absorb punishment and continues to show his mettle. Severn elbow again.
Oh, that one had a bounce.
Wow.
That was
Back of that
clean
neck.
to the back of the head. That was clean to the back of the head. And Tank's still fighting, but he's in a bad position here for trying to get off his stomach. He's not going to the guard position, which is really surprising. That allows all these unanswered blows to take place.
Severn is really punishing Abbott.
This could be a submission right here. Oh, no.
Well, it was a good thought there, Downey. It's
He was going
exactly
for
what he was
something,
looking
yeah.
for. He was looking for the choke. Just like Valet Tudo, once you have a man's back to you, it's very easy to work for the throat.
Severn did not punch in UFC 5. He came back to win the next one. We're actually 4 and 5. Trying to unleash the beast again tonight. Abbott hanging on and getting hammered again to the back of the head.
I think Severn might have punched himself out a little bit here. He's reluctant to throw blows.
He's not a powerful striker, and it looks like he's learning his lesson not to punch the skull. You're just going to break your knuckles. And the slaps are not going to cause a submission of any kind.
There, the elbow and the forearm, that might have its effect.
Another elbow, another elbow.
Tank is helpless. He can't get off his base. He's stuck on his knees. Severn, using wrestling skills, is keeping him there. You can see Severn hanging on to the fence. The reason he's doing that is to not let Abbott out in the open. He's keeping him pinned and punched up. But if Abbott is not being hurt by these strikes...
I feel Dan should be going for a choke. This is...
counterproductive?
Well, not counterproductive, but it's not really producing the result that he wants.
It's inefficient, isn't it?
Right.
Lots of energy,
and
not a
low
lot
effect.
of effect.
Can Tank work himself out of this? Can he continue to absorb the punishment and still have something left, guys?
We don't know how badly he's hurt. He's not trying to move. We've seen people lay there, but you can see him. That bothers him, catching those strikes to the back of the neck.
That one got through. Severn again with the elbow, punching to the head.
Well, if this was, let's just say this goes to a draw. Certainly, Dan Severn has a lot of points in his favor.
He'll win if it's a draw because he's definitely taking the fight to Tank. I mean, Tank is just staying in one spot. He's not really, it doesn't appear that he's actually trying to get out of it. He's just content to absorb punishment.
5 minutes in, this is an 18-minute time limit. And then it would go to the judges.
Oh, that was a good elbow.
Stretching elbow.
Stretching his body that way is making those ribs come out and torque, and that elbow has to be doing some damage.
It is, but not the kind of damage it could do if you get your body behind it. These are what you would call arm punches and arm strikes. They're not with the weight of the body and the torque of the hips and the shoulder. These have a cumulative effect, but there's not going to be a punch knockout from this distance.
Tank on his side, not going to any kind of a guard, leaving his back turned to the opponent. And you would think Severn would want to choke, but perhaps he feels that if he goes for the head, it might allow Abbott to get up off his belly, and obviously Abbott on his feet is a lot more dangerous.
Tank continues to hang in.
Well, I think he needs to get that arm around, get it around there, get the other arm out, get it under his chin, and force a submission.
Tank's doing his best to defend that choke.
Severn, on the other hand, now, after expending enormous amount of energy with all these strikes, he's still trying to do it, but he's got to be tired. I would tend to think, use your wrestling skills, continue to keep the weight on Abbott, making him have to work harder to carry away. Oh, a good right hand there.
And another pounce to the head. Now with a choke. Severn couldn't get it.
He's just not a good finisher when it comes to choke.
There's the corner, and that is R.T. Hamilton, who is a professor at Grand Canyon University, where Dan Severn trained the past several months. The only program in America, martial arts degree, either as a major or a minor. He's an ordained minister.
It's at Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona. It's where Severn spent a lot of his time training. Tank Abbott was up in Utah. Let's see now if Tank's going to make a move to try to come up. Severn, smart as he is, using his wrestling skill to keep him pinned up against the fence. He is not going to let Abbott off of his side. He sees this as an advantage position. He'd rather keep him down, sort of like keeping Joe Montana off the field. Don't let him on the field, you win. Don't let Abbott up off the ground.
Well, you know,
Severn's in a good position.
There's a saying, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Now, I believe it was Tank that had Jevem up against these ropes the same way. And now he's pinned up against the ropes, or excuse me, the fence. It's kind of like deja vu.
Severn talking to his corner as he works. Kneeing Abbott, kneeing him again to the head.
Those are effective strikes there. Those are effective.
Severn continue to work on the Tank.
They're effective, but I don't think any of them are really clean. Yes, they had some impact to them. Now, those are good. Those sharp forearms, they'll take their toll. There are no cuts. There is no blood. But it seems as though Severn's a little befuddled. The only thing that's working for him is keeping him down. He's going for what we call a power Nelson there. He's lifting on the elbow, torquing on Abbott's left shoulder. He needs to continue to arch his back, not good enough position, broke the hold.
Tank hanging in there. We can see his eyes looking up, perhaps frustrated, but not giving up.
Well, the blows he has received, although they look vicious, have not been with the weight of the body behind them. Therefore, they're causing superficial damage, but not the brain damage that you get from a boxing punch. A boxing or a kickboxing punch causes tremendous brain damage, but Tank is basically just suffering superficial damage.
But Tank said he could wrestle with anyone in the world. He was a world-class wrestler. Thus far, he has not been able to show us that level of skill.
Don, it's not the superficial type treatment that I'd like to take.
I didn't say it wasn't painful or effective. I just meant it wasn't the concussion that you get from a boxing punch.
Would you go ahead and knee the thigh here, Don? He's protecting his upper half. Would you go to the legs, hit the legs to open up the upper half?
Very good point, because as you remember, Huas won his fight by kicking to Varlin's thigh. That thigh is a very big, meaty part of the body that you can cause a lot of pain to.
Certainly it would limit Abbott's mobility, putting in a big Charlie horse, a hematoma somewhere just above the knee.
Well, I tell you, for the past 10 minutes, Abbott has not been very mobile, regardless.
Under 8 minutes to go, and if it ends up with no time remaining, for the first time in the UFC, we have 3 judges who will render a decision.
Well, I would call this the reverse guard. I mean, he is just not turning to face Severn at all. And Dan Severn, unable to apply a choke of any kind, is a little bit frustrated, continues to rain strikes, mainly elbows and open palm slaps.
Is Dan better off here just trying to ride out the Tank?
Exactly.
Rather than use up his strength and also possibly hurt his hands?
I think that's what he's trying to do. Tank is just not well enough versed on how to get off that base and get to a standing position. The best thing he could do would be to try to turn Dan and face him. Thus, Dan's weight now is up on his hips. He might be able to roll him to the side, clear him off of him long enough to turn and face him.
Jeff, does it expend more energy just riding him out or trying to keep punching away and trying to finish?
I would say throwing these kinds of strikes that he's doing is spending much more energy than it would take Dan to just use wrestling skills to keep Tank Abbott down. But without a doubt, Abbott's got to get off his belly. To do so, he has to not only pick up his own weight, but Dan Severn's as well.
I can see right now that if this fight continues this way, Tank Abbott will lose a decision by the judges, because he is not making a legitimate attempt to escape. He is just laying on his stomach with his hands on the back of his head, trying to protect himself, but not really making an effort to escape.
6:20 to go, and then it will go to the judges.
And this is the one question we had about Tank Abbott. He hadn't gone up against a real skilled fighter yet. Dan Severn, his very first, using wrestling skills, got the Tank down, the beast in control. And at this point, I would say my strategy, if I were in Severn's shoes, would be to keep Tank down. Never mind these strikes. Wait, gather energy, and if an opening presents itself, then hit him with a good strike.
Right, I think we're seeing the strengths and weaknesses of both fighters. Obviously, Dan Severn's not mastered the finishing moves that he needs in grappling to get that choke in there, lock it in there, and get that submission. Because he's got Tank in a very vulnerable position, but he's just not able to finish him.
There's Dan Severn's corner. And, you know, the one thing that Dan does not want to do is get caught up in a situation here where he's not working enough, where there's a restart, and John McCarthy puts them back on their feet. That would give Tank a chance. So he's got to still work.
I saw the first offensive technique by Tank. He tried to sneak in a little reverse headbutt there.
Yeah, he did snap that head up well.
Right, that's the first offensive technique I've seen.
Oh, elbow got through. It was effective by Severn. Dan trying to open up Tank for a choke, but not much doing. And Tank using those gloves to defend his head.
I actually think Dan could spin to the front so that his body isn't laying across Abbott. He could get more into those strikes. That headbutt caught Dan. That headbutt caught Dan. In fact, as Dan might have a welt on his forehead there. I see a red spot on his forehead.
Don, in boxing, we call it the chin. What about Tank's chin in the octagon?
Well, his chin hasn't been tested yet in the octagon. I think Dan has hit everything but his chin.
But I'm talking more about a chin being
just the ability,
a term that we use in boxing to describe
ability to absorb
ability
punishment.
To absorb, yes.
Well, he's proven himself able to absorb punishment. You know, as a fighter, I wouldn't call that a good thing. You know, I never want it to be said about me, wow, that Wilson can take a punch.
Coming up on 4 minutes left in this semifinal match.
I think Severn has settled for that first strategy. He's going to be the wrestler, keep Abbott down at this point. In this respect, knowing that there's 3 judges, it's a big advantage for Dan Severn.
Right.
He knows all he has to do is stalemate out now. Keep it a draw. Don't let Abbott up. He doesn't have to finish Abbott. He's got enough points now in the judges' eyes to win. I shouldn't say points, enough aggressive tactics and striking, ground attack, and aggressiveness that he should win this.
He's got it all. He's won in all 3 categories.
Aggressiveness, best strikes, and ground techniques, the 3 categories, and the 3 guys that are the judges are all guys who know the martial arts game.
And if he is now knowing he's going to win it that way, I would tend to want to save my energy for the finals. Thus, stop striking. Let's go ahead, just ride him out. Tie him up, immobilize him. Don't allow the Tank to move. He won't attrit any more energy. That's the best tactic for performing well in the finals.
Absolutely.
Jeff, as a grappler, being on the bottom and not being able to do something, what about the frustration?
Right there, this one-on-one now. I thought he might just lay on it to keep the Tank down.
Tank gets himself to his feet. Under 3 minutes left, he grips onto the chain. And an elbow to Severn's head. A reverse headbutt by Tank.
Dan is too close to him to have any effect for those strikes.
Abbott's got something left in his tank.
The Beast hanging on. The Tank trying to get going.
And now the crowd begins to chant Tank. Severn trying to chop him back down to the ground.
Come on, Tank, let's go, man, let's go.
The fact that he's putting his head against that post, I'm wondering, is Tank really fatigued at this point? Carrying all that weight for that amount of time, that's going to really drain your batteries.
We've seen fighters use the fence before, but not in an offensive way, just as a stalling tactic, and that seems to be what Tank is doing now.
Under 2 minutes to go.
It's clear at this point, I don't think Tank has it left. As long as Severn does not leave his head open for one of those elbows to come flying around from the Tank, he should do all right.
Right.
It looks as though, looking at Tank's face, you can see his eyes are a little bit glassy. He is tired.
And he's absorbed a lot of punishment as again he tries to throw that elbow, but Severn counters with the knee to the back of the thigh.
And this was right when we said Severn should just stay behind him and immobilize him. He did that one-on-one, a wrestling move, trying to isolate Tank's arm, and that allowed Tank the opportunity to get up off of his stomach to his knees, did a quick stand-up, but he's been unable to improve position from here.
This is mile-high altitude here in Denver, and when this fight is over, Tank is going to just collapse.
Come on, let's go.
Well, he may collapse before the end.
Looks like Severn's looking at a front head or a full Nelson there for a second.
Severn cannot afford to make an error now. If it goes to the cards, the judges will render a decision not based on points, just on a winner. Abbott trying to do something with 30 seconds to go.
He's doing his best just to stay on his feet. Severn, though, excellent in his grappling skills, not allowing the Tank to be able to pivot in any way to bring any of those big weapons to bear.
Tank gets free, but time is running out. Severn's just got to be careful not to get by one big right hand.
He should circle which way, Don, to keep from that right
That's
hand.
it. That is it. Clock is over. Semifinals will go to the judges' cards. Listen to this crowd. Determination of Severn, heart of Abbott.
Well, I don't know what's louder, either the boos for Tank or the cheers for Severn.
Three judges will render the decision. Ernest Hart, former four-time PKA welterweight kickboxing champion. John Little, associate publisher of Inside Karate, Inside Kung Fu, Inside Taekwondo magazine, and Michael D. Pasquale, editor and publisher. And there's the decision. It's unanimous for Severn. Di Pasquale, the editor and publisher of International Karate magazine. And all three give the decision, and I would think you would think the same way at home, to Dan Severn.
Well, I think we saw the strength of Dan Severn, but we've also seen the weakness, his inability to finish. And I like the way he continually was looking for an opening for a strike. But there again, I think he needs a little more experience of which strike to use when.
And one thing I'm impressed with is he kept it going the whole time.